I think working out and exercising is one of those things that pretty much everyone knows that they should be doing, but not everyone does it. And the reason why not everyone does it is because, quite frankly, it's hard, it's time consuming. It's so much easier to sit there and do nothing as opposed to getting up and going to the gym and working out. And quite frankly, it's something that most people don't want to do. And so because of that, there's that huge barrier of enjoyment. And I think that oftentimes, even if people have the habit of working out or exercising whenever they're younger, as they get older, that habit kind of dissolves. As we move further into our careers, or as we get families, as we marry, as we have children, as we develop all these responsibilities, then I think that even if you're into the habit of working out and exercising, I think it is still one of the very first things to fall away. At the beginning of each new year, people always say that their resolution is to work out more. But how many of those people were once in the habit of working out and simply lost the habit as they got older? And as I'm making this video, I want to make it clear, staying fit, staying in shape, getting into shape is not easy. Exercising regularly and building up your body is not easy. It requires a lot of work and effort. There's a reason why a lot of people don't do it. And the reason why a lot of people don't do it is, quite frankly, just because it's hard. It requires consistency, and it requires focus, and it requires you to completely change the way that you live. It requires you to change your diet. Working out even once or twice or 3 times a week or 4 times a week or 5 times a week takes time away from like playing video games. Especially if you're working and you have a family and you have all these different responsibilities, working out can seem like it should be a very low priority. And of course, those things should be top priority. If you have a spouse or if you have kids or something like that, then you should take care of them. If you have a serious career that you're working towards or building up, then obviously that should be your priority as opposed to, getting a nicer body. Because working out is good, and I think it's one of the very best things you can do, but at the same time, it's not going to pay the bills. I mean, unless you're a professional bodybuilder or a personal trainer or something, which, in that case is different. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about some of the benefits I've seen from working out regularly. I wanted to talk about some of the misconceptions that I've seen about it, specifically with regards to intelligence and physicality. And I wanted to address some of the pitfalls and dangers I've seen with regards to working out. And so without further deliberation, here are some of the benefits I've seen. So I think the first benefit you see from working out is pretty clearly physical. If you go from never working out to working out regularly, you will inevitably be in better shape. You will be healthier, you will be fitter, you will have more endurance. One major change I noticed is that before I worked out regularly, I had a lot of back pain from sitting at my computer all day. I'm a writer, and so I write stuff, and I normally do that on a computer, and so because of that, my back just always hurt. And in addition to that, especially if you're a PC gamer, then you will spend a lot of time sitting in your computer chair. And I don't think that we as human beings were intended to be in one position all day, and so as a result, if you get up and start moving, then you will feel better. And especially if you start working out your back, especially if you're into weightlifting at all, then your back will just be stronger. And not just your back, but if you're into weightlifting, that improves every part of you. And so I think that if you have any kind of pain, if you have any kind of arm pain, knee pain, joint pain, whatever, then I think that weightlifting will inevitably help you in those areas. Along with the back pain, I've also suffered some wrist pain, which again, I think is from carpal tunnel due to just writing all the time and being on my computer all the time. And historically speaking, it's been my left hand that's hurt a lot more than my right. And I remember that back whenever Resident Evil Village came out, my left hand actually went numb for a couple days. And I think that was largely just due to me playing on PC and just being on my computer all the time. And so I regularly experienced wrist pain. I went to a hand specialist at one point and she told me to just wear a wrist brace whenever I slept, and that didn't really help. But rather it was like working out that helped me. It was lifting weights that strengthened me and strengthened my body and allowed my wrist to feel better, essentially. And so I think that's a really big understated benefit of working out, is the fact that not only will your body look better, not only will you look healthier and happier, but you will just experience less pain. And I think that carries over to illness as well. I get sick on occasion because everyone does, and that's just a fact of life. But at the same time, I don't feel like I get as sick as often as I once did before I started working out. And one major benefit to working out is the fact that you have more energy. And that's a really weird idea because you're expending a lot of energy because you have to work out. And lifting weights or doing cardio or whatever else, it expends a lot of energy. And so you would think that you would have less energy throughout the day, but you don't. In fact, I think that overall you have more energy whenever you work out regularly. And the reason why is because your body realizes that you are doing intense activities, and so as a result, it adjusts to it. And so I think that if you work out once or twice, then you'll come home and you'll be absolutely exhausted. And quite frankly, if it's a good workout, then no matter how long you've been working out for, you will come home and still be tired. But overall, I think that working out really is one of the best things that you can do for yourself. It gives you more energy, you feel better, you look better, you're healthier. I think you'll be sick less, I think you'll experience less bodily pain. And I think one major benefit is the psychological benefit of feeling like you're moving forward. Whenever you hit a new PR, it feels good. Whenever you realize that you can lift more weight than you used to be able to, it feels good. I remember the first time that I realized I was making progress in the gym, and it was whenever I like flexed my muscle, whenever I flexed my bicep in the mirror, because it used to be that my arm was just flat and I didn't have any visible muscle. And so because of that, the very first time I flexed it and I was able to see like a bump, I was able to see the bicep bump, that felt awesome. Because whenever you see something like that, whenever you're able to see muscles where you used to not be able to see anything, then it cannot be denied whatsoever that you are making some kind of progress. And I want to make it clear, I'm not like a professional bodybuilder or anything. I'm not Schwarzenegger in his prime. And so I'm not obviously the most jacked dude ever or whatever. But the thing is that I don't think that you have to be that in order to see benefit from working out. I think that regardless of your body type, I think that if you just exercise, you'll feel better. And that's really all there is to it. You will just feel better. So you will feel better about yourself and you'll feel like you're making progress because you are. And also, I think that you'll just become stronger mentally as you learn to work out. Because the thing is that working out is really hard. Like, it's really difficult. It's painful. It hurts to lift heavier and heavier weights. And that's the reason why not everyone does it. It's painful to do 30 reps on something and then to push out another 2 more. And the thing about working out is that it's only through reaching those points, it's only through reaching those painful, difficult states and pressing past them that you will see any growth. The majority of your muscle growth will come through the last couple of reps you do, not the first, 10, 20, 30, 40. And so I think working out and weightlifting especially teaches you how to push yourself past the point of pain. And I think that carries over to anything else in life. Sometimes, a lot of the time, if I'm being honest, I don't want to sit down and edit a video, but I do. That's why you're watching this one, because I sat down whenever I didn't want to and I edited the video. And even right now, as I'm actively filming it, I'm actually supposed to be at the gym right now, but I'm here filming it, and so I'm gonna go to the gym afterwards, and I would like to cut off this video now and just go on with the rest of my day. But I think that one thing that working out has done for me is it's allowed me to push past the point of pain, not just in physical activities, but also in any sort of creative activity, because that's kind of when the pain is more mental than anything else. With creative activities, the pain comes from boredom, or it comes from a lack of stimulation and a desire for stimulation. But I really think there is something to being able to tell your mind to just shut up and focus on the work. And I think that you gain a lot of benefit from working out because it gives you that. I think that the more you're able to focus on pushing past your limits, then the further your limits will expand. And I think ultimately the more things you will be able to do. As I was saying, most people don't like going to the gym. Most people don't like working out. And so I think if you're able to move past that point, then I think inevitably that focus and that determination and that motivation even carries over to other things in life. And so these are some of the benefits I've seen of working out. And so now I wanted to talk about some of the misconceptions I've seen. So I think there's this sort of dichotomy that's been built up over the years where it's like intelligence versus physicality. You always see this in like cartoons or whatever, where it's like the dumb jock who's super strong versus the scrawny weakling nerd. Or you even see this in RPGs, you see it in Dark Souls, for instance, or other fantasy games, where you have the barbarian who is really strong but dumb, or you have the wizard who's really smart but weak. And I think there's this idea that's sort of baked into our culture that you can only have one or the other. You can either be really smart but really weak, or you can be really dumb but really strong. But the fact of the matter is that that entire way of thinking is stupid, quite frankly, because the two go along with each other. There are dumb people who are strong and there are weak people who are smart. I'm not denying that those kinds of people exist, but the fact of the matter is that you will actually benefit from engaging in both things. You will benefit from becoming more educated and reading and studying, and you will also benefit from going to the gym regularly and working out and becoming stronger. You don't have to choose one or the other, and you will be better off by engaging in both. As I was saying, you gain more energy whenever you're working out, and that extends over to intellectual stuff. As you get stronger, you feel better and you feel healthier, and so that allows you to do more intellectual work. And as you work out, as you get bigger and stronger and you push past the point of pain, then that allows you to gain some determination that you can carry over to your creative work or your intellectual work or whatever. And also being intelligent and knowing how to study and knowing how to figure out which exercises are best will help you in your physical area. Studying the science behind bodybuilding and working out and exercise and whatever else directly helps you in your bodybuilding journey or your fitness journey. It doesn't have to be bodybuilding. But really the two go hand in hand, and I'm kind of tired of people saying otherwise. There's that one tweet where it was written by some idiot. Like, quite frankly, I'm not usually like mean like that, but like, no, this person is an idiot and I feel comfortable saying it. This person said something to the extent that whenever you look at someone who's strong and muscular, then you should know that every muscle that they have is a language they didn't learn, it's a book they didn't read, it's a poem they didn't memorize. But the fact of the matter is that that's just not the case. That's someone who's weak and pathetic trying to make themselves feel better by pulling down other people. And again, I try to not be super negative towards people, but the thing is that I think this is a really frustrating and dangerous thought process. And I think it's just flat out wrong. It's not true that you have to choose one or the other. No one ever said that you could either choose to read a book or work out. You can do both, and as I'm saying, you'll be better off for it. I mean, if you want to frame it a different way, then inevitably if you exercise and you're into fitness, you're going to live longer than someone who's not. And so because of that alone, then you'll have more time to learn another language or more time to learn a poem or whatever else. Like, it's been proven over and over and over again throughout the years, throughout the generations and centuries, that those who exercise and work out and who are fit live longer than those who don't. Like, and it makes perfect sense. It's not really... No one should really question this. No one should question what I'm saying, that working out will make you live longer. And in fact, engaging in exercising and fitness will cause you not only to live longer, it'll keep your mind active for longer. The degeneration of the brain as you get older is a real thing, and it's a horrible thing, but the only thing that they've really found in keeping your brain healthy and alive is cardio. It's exercising, it's working out, it's doing fitness. The only way to stay cognizant and aware throughout your entire life is by exercising. And quite frankly, if you're just doing things and you'll do more things, that's just kind of the way action works. Action breeds action, and inaction breeds inaction. And so I think that if you're used to doing hard work, I think if you're used to working out, then I think as a result, it will be easier for you to get into reading if you're not already in the habit. And also, people listen to audiobooks at the gym all the time, like just straight up. So the idea that you have to choose between working out and reading is just flat out stupid. Like, there's no way around it. It's just, this guy's an idiot. I'm sure that there's someone in the world who has such a stressful, intense, responsible life that they only have an hour of free time a week or something, and they can choose to either work out or read during that time. I'm sure there is someone like that out there somewhere in the world who has to choose between doing one or the other. But that's not what it is for most people. I think with most people you can do both. And quite frankly, working out is free. You don't need a gym membership. Doing push-ups is free. Doing sit-ups is free. Going for a jog is free. Doing pull-ups is free. You know, it's a little difficult to find a bar if you don't already have one, but you can do it. Personally, I prefer weightlifting. I prefer using like dumbbells and barbells and crap. But at the same time, you can get really far just doing body weight exercises. Lunges are free. Squats are free. Planks are free. Planks are really freaking hard. There are countless exercises you can do that do not involve equipment. And so yeah, whenever I see tweets like that, or whenever I see comics that seem to be making fun of people who work out, I'm just kind of like, what are you doing? Because really, these things are sort of the equivalent of making fun of someone for eating healthy. It's like if you just ate McDonald's every day and then you made fun of someone for eating a salad or eating a steak and a baked potato. Or if you want to twist the tweet onto its head, then it's the same as making fun of someone for reading a book. Because there's a lot of garbage stuff out there, but at the end of the day, I think there are much, much worse things that you could do. It's like the equivalent of making fun of someone for learning a language in place of, you know, like doing drugs or whatever. I don't know. But this sort of thought process is just so incredibly frustrating to me because it's not one or the other. You don't have to choose between being well-educated and being physically strong. You can have both. And again, it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of effort to do anything. And especially if you're trying to do both, it's really hard. But at the end of the day, you know, it's like, what else are you going to do with your life? That's always the mindset I come back to. What else are you going to occupy your time with? There are much worse things you could be doing than trying to get strong and trying to become smarter and more intelligent and educated. Before we go though, I did want to touch on some of the problems I've seen with getting into fitness. Not all fitness advice is created equally, and I think that information on exercising is more broadly available than ever before. Thank you to the internet. It's awesome. And so I think that's awesome. I think it's incredible that you can become educated on a huge number of things in such a short period of time. You can learn about exercising and you can learn about nutrition, you can learn about dieting. There's so much information available on the internet, but also there's a lot of garbage too. One thing that I've seen a lot, specifically with young men, is that there are a lot of people who are taking steroids, and that's not a joke. There are definitely people who get hooked on trend, and there are a lot of fitness influencers who use steroids and who influence other people to use steroids. And quite frankly, that's just not good. I'll link a video by Jeff Nippard that's about steroid use, and it's pretty bad. I would not recommend it. But the reason why people use steroids is because you can see so much more growth than you would naturally. And so because of that, they are very appealing, they're very appetizing, but the side effects, quite frankly, just aren't worth it. You lose IQ points from doing steroids, you die faster. Steroids will screw up your testosterone levels. And so I think there's a lot of scary things about steroids, and I think there's a lot of scary information about fitness and about health and what should be expected. There are people out there who are incredibly extreme and obsess over weightlifting and working out to an unhealthy degree, in my opinion. Just because there are some idiots out there, that doesn't mean that the entire activity of exercising is pointless or stupid or flawed or anything like that. It just means that there are some idiots out there. One thing I have to warn you about is don't be discouraged if you don't immediately see results from working out. It does take some time before you fully realize how far you've come. If you just work out regularly, if you work out as little as 2 or 3 times a week, then quite frankly, sooner or later, you will see changes in your body. But of course, I do think that you have to be taking in the proper nutrition. You have to be giving your muscles food to grow. So because of that, you do have to eat a lot more protein. I would recommend creatine. Creatine's helped me a lot. And one thing that you have to be prepared for is because of the fact that you will be expending a lot more calories than you used to, you will also be having to intake a lot more calories than you're used to. Basically, you will have to be eating a lot more. Like at this point, for me, with my size, I have to eat between 3,000 and 3,500 calories a day, give or take. And that's a lot. It's a lot. And so just be prepared for that. I do use pre-workout, but caffeine is also one of those things that you can get addicted to, so you have to be wary of that. If you feel embarrassed at the prospect of going to a gym and everyone seeing you work out, don't be. No one cares, quite frankly. I talked about the spotlight effect in my my Kafka video, I think, the trial. But basically, it's this psychological phenomenon that everyone thinks there's a spotlight on them. Everyone thinks that they're always the focus of attention because that's what you're focused on all the time. You're focused on yourself. You live with yourself 24/7. And so because of that, just psychologically, you think that everyone else is paying attention to you and your flaws when the reality is that they're actually paying attention to their own. And so if you're not confident in yourself or your body, or you feel like you're out of shape or something, you're scared that people will make fun of you. That hasn't really been my experience with regards to working out. No one has ever really come up to me and said anything. And there was a time period where I was fairly overweight and I just, I looked gross to myself. And so I did want to throw that in there, that losing weight is hard, but it's doable. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is I wanted to talk about women specifically. I think there are a lot of insecure dudes online who will make fun of women for working out. They'll say that muscles on women are gross or women having abs are gross. Again, I don't think that's true. I think that these guys are just insecure. These guys are the same kind of person who wrote that tweet about how every muscle that you have is a poem you didn't learn or whatever. And quite frankly, they're just stupid. It's just wrong, flat out. Everyone has a preferred body type, of course. And I personally do think that there is such a thing as being way too muscular. There is a point where steroid use is very obvious and your body becomes just a mass of muscle. And I'm not gonna lie, I personally feel like that is too far. I respect the motivation and the drive and the discipline that it takes to get to that point. But at the same time, I think there is a point where it's too much. But I do think that it's one of those things where it's incredibly difficult to hit that point. Most people, no matter how hard they work, won't be able to hit that point. And the reason why is because that point requires a lot of steroids and drug use. No one who has biceps that are 3 times the size of their head got there naturally. And so really, women, ladies in the house, woo! Or regardless of your gender, if you're scared that someone will shame you for working out, that says more about them than it does about you. I think working out is a very attractive quality because, as I've talked about, it shows drive, it shows discipline. And really, I think that taking care of yourself and taking care of your body, I think it says a lot to those around you. I think that it's an obvious sign that you're willing to put in hard work and you're willing to show it. As I'm saying, it's hard to become fit. And it's really hard to change your habits, especially if you're into eating super late at night or eating garbage food or something like that. It's really hard to change your habits, but it is doable, I promise. And so really don't let anyone shame you for wanting to become fit, for wanting to weightlift. And especially for ladies, it feels like there are a lot of guys who make fun of girls who work out. That's stupid. They're wrong. There's no other way to say it. And so please, during this new year, if you're not into working out, please try to exercise. Again, you don't have to do that much before you start seeing benefits. You just have to be consistent, and that's a hard thing. I promise you though, that if you just go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week for a couple months, you will see results. I promise you that if you go from never having run to running 2 to 3 times a week, you will feel better. And if you are working out, if you are taking care of yourself, good job, proud of you, great work, keep it up. And so really, I think that's all I have to say on the topic of fitness and exercising and working out and its importance. So thank you for watching, have a nice night, and goodbye. I'm going to the gym. So bye. Bye, 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 bye.